Greetings, everyone. Well, this is Rock and Roll Squawk Show with the weekly comic book roundup. We've already got one batch from this week's haul out of the way, so let's get started on the second batch, shall we? Starting things off with Avengers number 25, Challenge of the Ghost Riders finale. So, where we left off, after an attempt at exorcism on current Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes' car, Reyes and the car itself ended up in hell, and forced into a race against none other than the King of Hell himself, Johnny Blaze, the first modern age Ghost Rider. We'll call it Bronze Age Ghost Rider, whatever. Along the way, he learned that his uncle Eli had been possessing his car and was now given the body of a dead celestial to possess. His parents' souls were in hell, and he also got to meet all of the other riders, or at least their souls, who basically told him, "Hey, yeah, stick it to Blaze." Meanwhile, back at Avengers Mountain, Cosmic Ghost Rider, being, well, Cosmic Ghost Rider, fought the Avengers to a bit of a standstill and had a moment of confusion, thinking that the team were allies of Cosmic Ghost Rider, or not of Cosmic Ghost Rider, of Blaze. And so they kind of said, "Whoa, time out, hold on. We're not on Blaze's side here." Like, oh, okay, fine, let's go kill that son of a bitch then. And so the Avengers decided to head to hell to at least help Robbie. And so we begin with Robbie facing down his uncle possessing one of the Dark Celestials. And Eli tells him, just so you know this, you are a terrible Ghost Rider. But Robbie kind of retorts with, that's not really much of an insult. What have the Ghost Riders ever done? They bring misery on themselves and everyone they love, die alone, or go batshit crazy. And he says that's not how he's going out. So he says, to hell with being a spirit of vengeance. He's an Avenger. And he'd be damned if he's losing the race. However, it is noted that the Hell Charger is gone. So he doesn't really have a means of, a vehicle to drive. And then the Avengers show up in an airship thing. The specs of which are actually explained later on. We cut to Johnny Blaze driving through hell on his way to the throne. Now there's somebody of hell standing on either side of him. He orders him to kneel. And he's interrupted by Blade and Thor, who show up. And Blaze gets kind of buried somewhat in hell, and with Mjolnir stuck on top of him. But Blaze manages to get loose. And then Black Panther and Cap join the fight, with Cap being, well, Cap. Like, seriously, I love the way Jason Aaron writes Cap. The exchange goes like this. Cap says to Black Panther, "I thought this was supposed to be some kind of race. T'Challa's like, well, I imagine this is how such contests tend to get settled in, this particular netherworld. Welcome to hell, Captain America. And Cap's just like, Buchenwald in 45. That was hell. This is just another Tuesday. And then T'Challa says, please never change, Stephen. Cap wasn't planning on it. So the ship carries on, and it's explaining what all it is. It has Guardian flying ship with Wakandan vibranium core engine, Stark Tech rockets, and Captain Marvel at the controls. And also a gamma-powered nitrous boost in the form of the excess gamma radiation that She-Hulk is carrying in her anymore. And so they punch forward. Blaze is about to follow when Cosmic Ghost Rider rolls up with the severed head of the Dark Celestial. But Blaze sends demons to keep Cosmic Ghost Rider occupied, and B, carry him to the finish line, and C, do what they can to slow down Robbie. And so the flying ship hits the finish line first, though. And Robbie tells him, hey, I won your race by showing you that Ghost Rider doesn't have to ride alone. And maybe it's best that they don't. So all hellfire and penance and racing to be the devil, it's family that keeps us sane. And then he says, even in the darkest depths of hell. And Blaze looks like someone who could sure use a family right about now. So, technically, Robbie wins. Robbie is technically king of hell. But he doesn't want it, so he abdicates the throne. And so, Robbie's parents leave with the spirits of the other Ghost Riders. Robbie, the Hell Charger, and the rest of the Avengers go back to Earth. Later on, basically Robbie is taking his brother, basically letting his brother skip school for a day, and they're gonna go for a ride. And try to go as fast as they want. Cosmic Ghost Rider rides off into space. Pretty sure he's had about enough of Earth. Because there's way more interesting people out in space to kill. And not nearly as many Ghost Riders. And he thinks that the Earth smells way too much like Mephisto. And now we catch back up with someone who's been surprisingly absent from the story. Iron Man, who, if you'll recall in the first part, was in a cave in Turkey that had been dug up a bit during the War of the Realms. And in said cave was a fossilized version of his helmet. So he's been walking through the cave. There were inconclusive scans in it, according to his armor. And he tells the armor that, he needs to know why he's holding a fossilized version of his own head from 1 million years ago, dug up in a cave in Turkey. Why his guts twist more in the knots the further he goes in. There's an energy surge from the helmet. Bright green light. We cut to some narration in the form of Tony Stark's journal. It's been at least 6 months since the energy surge, or magic spell, whatever it was. The season of harsh and brutal winter has given way to some sort of super winter. Pretty sure that still won't keep the saber-toothed tigers from prowling around my cave. The repaired gauntlet died this morning. The armor was useless. I've scavenged everything I could from it. It's a blood moon tonight. That means he'll be coming round again. I don't know how I can hold him off this time. Not with what little I have. Rocks and ice. All I have are rocks and ice. I'm Tony Stark, the smartest caveman in the world. Smartest man in all of 1 million BCE. But how do you fight the devil with rocks and ice? And that is where the issue ends. And in fact, the next issue will be another origin issue for one of the Avengers from 1 million BC. This time focusing on Starbrand. Moving on to Amazing Spider-Man number 32. Okay, so this one is not an Absolute Carnage tie. This is actually the beginning of another story that we will be following next. That is, the bulk of which will be over the next few months. You may have noticed a little thing at the bottom of the cover saying 2099 is in trouble. Back in the 90s, Marvel experimented with a line of books set in the future. The year 2099, to be exact. It was one thing in the early 90s. It was more than a century away. They could go crazy with, thoughts on how tech would change by then. They didn't go too crazy, but, the first book in the line was, in fact, Spider-Man 2099. And if there's one character from the line who has persevered, it's Spider-Man. Punisher 2099 was a thing, but that ended up getting... there was also X-Men 2099, Doom 2099, Ghost Rider 2099, Hulk, all manner of 2099 characters. Each one, in most cases, there was at least a tangential relation. Punisher 2099, Jake Gallows found one of Punisher's war journals after his family was murdered. Spidey 2099, Miguel O'Hara had been forced to become addicted to a drug by his boss, basically to keep him on the as a way of keeping him on the payroll from leaving the company, and he mucked around with his DNA a little bit to get rid of the addiction, and ended up, as I recall, he ended up inadvertently he spliced some of Peter Parker's DNA onto his own. But he got different spider powers from Spider-Man, classic Spider-Man. The X-Men were still mutants, and they still were all about Magneto's dream, or not Magneto, but Xavier's dream. Doom was actually Doom, or at least supposed to be Doom. So yeah, that was just... Ghost Rider had the Ghost Rider look, but he was actually very much tech and not mystical. Alright, so on to the comic. So we begin a few days ago at the Astoria Oil Complex, a Roxxon subsidiary. Spider-Man 2099 is narrating, and he remembers fire and water. Catastrophe. He came back to fix things, and just like always, he only made them worse. So he starts to see his holographic assistant, Lila. She's trying to wake him up. He comes to and realizes he can't move. Turns out he's strapped down on an examination table, and some Roxxon executives are talking about, well, what happened. The worst oil spill since Deepwater Horizon. Press is having a field day. And it turns out this guy who caused it, he's a Spider-Man. From the future. And so now they plan to utilize him, utilize his knowledge of the future for breakthroughs, for various discoveries, breakthroughs, and of course, patents. So, Spidey's thing, cut to ESU, where Peter is still attending school. Kind of get a, MJ has gone off on her own. Mayor Wilson Fisk is making some moves that he can't entirely process. And there's something he can't quite shake. The villain Kindred. But yeah, he's in a group project. One of the other members of the group actually has some of his old tech on him. Webware. Something he had back when he was running Parker Industries. And he says probably his proudest achievement. But he basically had to get rid of him because of a scheme of Doc Ock's. So there's a fire alarm gets pulled, and Peter's sister, his recently discovered sister Teresa Parker, shows up. She's a spy, and is like, "Hey, we need to get. I need your help with things." Turns out, the Chameleon is selling the Infinity Formula to none other than the Foreigner. So, Teresa and Spidey go and break things up. Turns out the Foreigner's got some lackeys with him. Jack-o'-lanterns! Seriously, bunch of guys wearing the costume of the Spidey villain, Jack-o'-lantern, who's a third grade? Basically, a knockoff of a knockoff. You had Green Goblin. Green Goblin would eventually spawn. The first few Green Goblins would eventually lead to Hobgoblin. And then Hobgoblin would lead to the creation of Jack-o'-lantern. Turns out that there were a bunch of Jack-o'-lantern stashes laying around too. But Spidey fights the Foreigner. Turns out Foreigner actually kind of likes Spider-Man. And turns out that Foreigner's working for Silver Sable. Huh. That's an interesting development. So, apparently, in the future, everything has gone wrong, and that's why Spider-Man went. That's why the Spidey of 2099 came to the present. He's finally managed to get through everything, and he breaks free and starts to escape. Jumps out the window of the building he's in, and realizes that his powers are all turned off. And he lands on top of a cabin in New York. And that is where the issue comes to its close. There's actually going to be a full-on checklist with this, or story arc. So let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Woof, that's going to be quite the arc. Alrighty. Moving on to Ghost Spider number 3. Where we left off. Okay. Honor 616, Gwen Stacy. Well, Gwen Stacy for 65 was attending Empire State University and was making friends with some of her classmates. One of whom, it turns out, is actually working for Miles Warren, formerly the villain known as the Jackal. Honor 65, the Miles Warren of Earth 65, was still keeping an eye on Gwen when he could, but also dealing with the fact that Man-Wolf, John Jameson, who had recently allowed himself to be experimented upon by Warren, had been apprehended by Ghost Spider, and has since, thanks to his father, gotten released. So, Jameson and Warren discuss, what happened. And some blame is bandied about with Jameson saying, I was supposed to be, you were supposed to make me invincible. Though Warren's like, hey, the process was still in its infancy when you approached me, so that was a test. I didn't know how it was going to do. And he's a little jealous about the fact that his powers are dependent upon the moon, but Ghost Spiders work whatever. Though Warren explains, hey, she's not my work. And when Jameson suggests he go to another mad scientist, Warren says that wouldn't have worked either because Peter Parker died long before John Jameson decided to become a monster. So, Honor 616, we have Gwen going to school, and she runs into her friend Benji. Benji Jones from Australia. This is also the friend that is working with Miles Warren. Benji, after a brief talking to Benji, goes to talk to Warren and tells her what's happening with learning about, like, I know, I'm working on following her. She just disappeared. I got to figure it out. But he gives her a vial of formula he's working on. All right, this is where you're fine. She's gonna go after him. At the end of the class day, Peter Parker goes to talk to Gwen. They talk and they catch up a bit. Decide to have lunch tomorrow. And Benji, having taken the serum, is now rather wolf or rat-esque and tries to go through the portal. After turning back into a human, she's going to have to go tell Warren what she saw. Back on Earth 65, Ghost Spider arrives home. She's looking to, she kind of wants to go punch some things. There appears to be gunfire coming from a local grocery store. And the hat of someone that's known of an enemy of hers known as the Bandit. Turns out the Bandit walked in at the wrong time and the store is being held up. And Ben has been shot. So Ghost Spider takes down the guy holding the place up, calls the cops, and that is eventually told that we don't know if he's going to be, how he's going to be, but we're doing what we can to save him. And they're all. She tells the police he has a hamster, which they'll be on the lookout for. As she swings away, Warren catches it up, gets a glimpse of her through the window. She goes, saves some more people, stops a mugging, prevents a kid and his dog from being hit by a car, and then goes and waits by the hospital, hoping for some word on Bandit. Back on Earth 616, Benji goes to Warren and says, okay, one, the serum you gave me, yeah, it did not work for as long as it was supposed to have worked. Two, this is what I learned. And then Warren picks up a beaker of and presumably drinks it. Finds the jackals that play games, as apparently, for some things, Benji is killed. And that's where the issue ends. He's also quite happy with the fact that Gwen is, of course, Gwen's a superhero, because after all, superheroes have rather elastic genetics. Moving on to Spider-Man Velocity number 3. So, where we left off, the story of the ghost was cracked by Spidey and MJ. Turns out it's really just a young woman who's super fast. And possibly related to the subject of an experiment by Otto Octavius and Norman Osborn. Spidey managed to keep her locked up for a night, but she got loose, and, well, yeah. She's kind of handing him his ass. Also overloaded the suit, so he runs off. And figures, okay, time to make some changes to the suit. Meanwhile, Ben Urich's going over everything, basically kind of, okay, so turns out that James Harvey died of smoke inhalation. After apparently after being suspected of murdering a Daily Bugle reporter. The fire he died in was unexplained. And that's when it turns out that, he had a daughter, Haley Harvey, born shortly before his death. Well, Haley shows up, makes a bit of a mess in Ben's office, but is then stopped by Spider-Man. Duke it out. Ben Urich barely has time to register what's happened. Meanwhile, Haley's mother has been called to Midtown High School, where Haley's a student. And she's getting great grades. acting out quite a bit, but getting great grades still. Spider-Man is trying to, not deal with her like a villain, but just someone who, is misunderstood. MJ appears at school just as Haley's mother is leaving. They talk a bit, and Haley's mother texts Haley saying, "Hey, meet me at home as a reporter." Spidey's continuing to chase Haley, but Haley gets the text, and turns out Haley's mother blames the reporter for turns out her thought has always been that Norman Osborn told the reporter. The reporter went to her late husband, and so then Osborn set the place on fire. However, it turns out that her late husband went to the reporter himself with the plan to expose Osborn. As this realization is hitting home with Haley's mother, Haley returns and attacks MJ. Spidey on her tail. Things do not appear to be going well as a fire has begun. And that's where the issue ends, with Spider-Man trying to figure out what the hell he's going to do next. Moving on to final book of the week. Absolute Carnage, Lethal Protectors, number 3. Alright, so where we left off, Iron Fist, Morbius, Cloak and Dagger, Firestar, Deathlock had all gathered together to go save Misty Knight from Carnage and his flunkies. We begin with Iron Fist narrating about how superhero life can be lonely at times. I mean, yeah, you got friends in the community that you see now and then, but it's not like you don't have company picnics or Avengers sponsored bowling nights. I just think they don't invite Danny, but hey. I also like to think that at least for a while there used to be a friendly annual softball game between the Avengers and the X-Men. But yeah, the group is taking on Carnage's symbiote-possessed flunkies. But it basically boils down to the only time you ever see your friends are when shit hits the fan. So, Fire doesn't seem to stop the symbiotic flunkies. And so, Iron Fist supercharges his fist and punches the ground, knocking everyone down. They go on, and Shriek, now Demon Goblin, is trying to get Man-Wolf to kill Misty Knight. And she's trying to, like, okay, make up your mind, man. Either do it or don't. But our heroes arrive, saving the day. And, yeah. Man-Wolf does make a decision and he attacks Demogoblin. And so Cloak teleports the heroes out. Misty and John take a moment, and she manages to help him regain control of his human half. At an undisclosed location in the city, turns out that the Carnage virus is gone. And he is A-OK. And so, Cloak, Dagger, Deathlock, Iron Fist, Morbius, and Firestar one other thing. With what Carnage has planned, he can't be stopped. He's going to win. Well, yeah. Cloak, Dagger, Iron Fist, Morbius, Firestar, and Deathlock are like, yeah, he might win, but we're not going to go down without a fight. And then they teleport out, leaving Misty and John together. And that's the end of the issue. And of the series, actually. Absolute Carnage miniseries. Alright, that's it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.